Looking at the next two sections on our form, we see that it's all questions that we've already done in previous videos. So what I would like to suggest is that you try to input sections 2.2 and 2.3 into the CommCare application yourself, and then after you're done, you can restart this video or continue this video, and we'll go over what, in my opinion, would be the best way to structure your questions. See you in a bit. Okay, welcome back. I hope that wasn't too challenging. So let's take a look at what we have. So first of all, if we just collapse our survey, it should look like this. Notice that I've put a 1 and a 2 in front of the sections, but only in the display text, not in the question ID. So we have projects and services and access to health, and that's logical because these are subsections. So 2.2 and 2.3 are subsections, so we should find them within access to health. So when I open up access to health, I have my initial questions, then our table question, and then the subsections. So 2.1 service charges, and then the ones from the exercise. So 2.2 access to essential medicines, and 2.3 referral system. So we can see those here. Okay, so let's open up 2.2. So I mean, again, like you should have your two subsections underneath service charges, and there should be a direct line going to access to health, like this. So this should be the structure. If they are, for whatever reason, like this, and maybe this one as well, you can select both by pressing Control and then simply just dragging them into the access to health question group. And notice where the little arrow is. So they should look like this. Okay, so let's open up section 2.2, access to essential medicine, and this is simply just a bunch of yes/no questions, right? Well, not completely. So this one, pretty simple, yes/no, yes/no. 21 is also a yes/no, but then 22, there's a sneaky little bit at the end here. It says, if yes, what is the frequency? So are essential medicines always available, or do stockouts occur? And also, this is a very confusing question, because if we're answering yes or no, what are we answering yes to? Are we answering yes to essential medicines are always available, or are we answering yes to stockouts occur? So what I did, in order to make this clear, let me just expand this. I said, are essential medicines always available, or do stockouts occur? Preferably, we would actually just change this question to do stockouts occur. But as we want to keep it more or less similar to the paper form, I've left the question as is. But then in the answers, I've added a little bit. So I say yes, stockouts occur, or no, stockouts occur. And then after this question, we should have, so if yes, what is the frequency? So I have a text question, what is the frequency of stockouts? And a display condition within that text question saying only display it if the answer to our, well, do stockouts occur, is yes. And then we just simply have the other two questions, which are straightforward. And if you were if you paid attention in the previous videos, you would have copy-pasted the questions. So that's what I did. I simply went Control-C, Control-V, and then just changed the display text and question ID. Okay, then on to referral system. This subsection was a little bit trickier. So let's look at the first question. Does a referral system exist? Yes, no. Okay, very simple multiple choice question. Then the next question, the next two questions. So distance to referral structure in kilometers and average time to referral structure in hours. Now, this kilometers and hours, it's important for our analysis as well as for the enumerators to know. So it should be somewhere, both in your question label and in your question ID. So let's take a look what I did. So I wrote distance to referral structure and then in parentheses in kilometers. And for a question ID, it's just going to come up distance to referral structure in kilometers. So I chose a decimal question. That's a numeric. But I'm going to allow them to enter decimals because, you know, it might be half a kilometer and your enumerator will have to enter 0.5. And notice that I didn't make it required, as opposed to all the other questions, which are required. And again, that is because it's a numeric question, so if they don't know, for whatever reason, the mobile worker should be able to skip instead of just entering some random data. And again, average time to referral structure in hours. I added this in both the label and the question ID, not required, and it's a decimal again. So then, okay, the next question, 28. So this is, again, kind of a tricky question, right? Because this one has a question within a question. So what is our first question? Our first question is transport available? And that's a simple yes, no answer. And that's what we have here. Is transport available? Yes or no. And then we have our which type of transport is available, right? That's this bit. So if yes, which type? And notice that I've forgotten my display condition here. So I'm just going to quickly add that in. And again, this is why testing is so important. So I'm going to just say, is transport available? Needs to be yes. And so if transport is available, we'll ask, well, what kind of transport is available? Then the next question, 29, which I think question 30 and 29 are supposed to be one question, but it's just asking what are the service charges at the referral structure, and then it's giving us a bunch of options. And I mean, this is obviously multiple choice with single response, because it can either be free, or there's a fee, or there's a full service charge, etc., etc. So let's look at what we did here. Well, service charges at referral structure, multiple choice with the choice options. The next question, 31, are referrals followed up? Yes, no. Very simple. And then we finally have our numeric question. So approximate proportion of patients that actually reach the referral facility. So in the display text we have this here, approximate proportion of, and then in parentheses percentage of patients that actually reach the referral facility. And then in the question ID I have approximate proportion. But it's actually better to change this to percentage because it's a bit clearer what the answer is. Again, I haven't made it required, and I've added a validation condition. Because we're talking about percentages, it has to be between 0 and 100. You cannot have 110% of patients reaching the referral facility. So there's one last change we can make. We have this first question, does a referral system exist? And then the other questions about the referral system itself. Now, obviously, if the answer to this is no, none of the other questions are really relevant. So instead of changing the display conditions for each of these questions individually, what we can do is take this first question, does a referral system exist? Just place it above this referral system question group. And then in the referral system question group, we can adjust the display condition to affect the entire group. So having opened up the editor, I'm just going to drag in does a referral system exist is equal to yes. So if a referral system exists, then this entire group, 2.3 referral system, will show up. And that's it. See you in the next video.